Welcome back to Literary Criticism. In this video, we are going to learn about New Criticism. New Criticism can be considered as an American version of formalism. New Criticism is a post World War I school of Anglo American literary critical theory that insisted on the intrinsic value of a work of art and focused attention on the individual work alone as an independent unit of meaning. It was opposed to the critical practice of bringing historical or biographical data to bear on the interpretation of a work. The movement did not have a name, however, until the appearance of John Crowe Ransom's The New Criticism, published in 1941, a work that loosely organized the principles of this basically linguistic approach to literature. The English critics I. A. Richards and William Empson also made contributions to the movement with the concept of close reading. Other figures associated with the new criticism include Cleanne Brooks, R. P. Blackmer, Robert Penn Warren, and W. K. Wimsatt Jr. Although their critical pronouncements, along with those of Ransom, Richards, and Empson, are somewhat diverse and do not readily constitute a uniform school of thought. Cleanne Brooks, in his work The Well Wrought Urn, warns us against the heresy of paraphrase. He asserts that the meaning of a poem is complex and precise, and that any attempt to paraphrase it inevitably distorts and reduces it. Close reading or explication. A technique advocated by the new critics in interpreting the literary work, close reading endorses the concept of autotelic text, that a text is a unified identity complete in itself. Close reading focuses on the formal aspects or the verbal linguistic elements of a text, such as figures of speech, images, symbols, interaction between words, rhythm, and metaphor. Close reading or French explication de text was a staple of French literary studies, but in United States, aesthetic concerns and the study of modern poets were the province of non-academic essayists and book reviewers rather than serious scholars. The new criticism changed this. Though their interest in textual study initially met with resistance from older scholars, the methods of new critics rapidly predominated in American universities until challenged by feminism and structuralism in the 1970s. Ambiguity is a term which is often associated with new critical reading of a text. In Seven Types of Ambiguity, a work written by Empson sought to enhance the reader's understanding of a poem by isolating the linguistic properties of the text. He suggested that words or references in poems are often ambiguous and, if presented coherently, carry multiple meanings that can enrich the reader's appreciation of the work. He argued that the complexities of cognitive and tonal meanings in poetry form the basis of the reader's emotional response. The seven types of ambiguity mentioned by him in his work are as follows: metaphor, that is, when two things are said to be alike which have different properties. This concept is similar to that of metaphysical conceit. Second type is two or more meanings are resolved into one. Empson characterizes this as using two different metaphors at once. Third, two ideas that are connected through context can be given in one word simultaneously. Fourth, two or more meanings that do not agree but combine to make clear a complicated state of mind in the author. Fifth, when the author discovers his idea in the act of writing. Empson describes a simile that lies halfway between two statements made by the author. Sixth, when a statement says nothing and the readers are forced to invent a statement of their own, most likely in conflict with that of the author. Seventh, two words that within context are opposites that expose a fundamental division in the author's mind. Paradox is another important concept in new criticism. In literature, the paradox is a literary device consisting of the anomalous juxtaposition of incongruous ideas for the sake of striking exposition or unexpected insight. Paradox in poetry means that tension at the surface of a verse can lead to apparent contradictions and hypocrisies. His seminal essay, The Language of Paradox, lays out Brooks' argument for the centrality of paradox by demonstrating that paradox is the language appropriate and inevitable to poetry. Irony. Although paradox and irony as new critical tools for reading poetry are often conflated, they are independent poetical devices. Irony for Brooks is the obvious warping of statement by the context, whereas paradox is later glozed as a special kind of qualification that involves the resolution of opposites. Irony functions as the presence in the text, the overriding context of the surrounding words that make up the poem. In Irony as a Principle of Structure, Cleon Brooks makes a lot of claims about the importance of metaphors and irony in literary text. They are unimportant, they are, according to him, unimportant or non literary utterance gets a specific meaning through the use of irony. Another concept put forward by him is that utterances having some meaning are changed to different or contrary meanings, like ripeness is all. Tension. Tension is actually a balance maintained in an artistic work between opposing forces or elements, a controlled dramatic or dynamic quality. In literature, the term has been variously used and defined. The poet and critic Alan Tate used it to refer to the elements that are necessary for a work to be considered whole or complete. This sense of tension was derived by Tate from two terms used in logic. One is extension, another is intension. Extension is literal meaning and intention is metaphorical meaning. From these terms, he dropped the prefixes and it refers to a mutually dependent relationship between these different forms of meaning. Though the existence of both kinds of meaning creates a conflict, they are both necessary because it is this conflict or tension that gives poetry its meaning. Intentional fallacy and affective fallacy. There are two important concepts in new criticism coined by Wimsatt and Beardsley in The Verbal Icon. One of the critical concepts of new criticism, intentional fallacy, was formulated by Wimsatt and Beardsley in the essay The Verbal Icon in 1946. It is actually the mistake of attempting to understand the author's intentions when interpreting a literary work. So, these are fallacies when a reader tries to understand the author's intention, it is considered as a fallacy, which is called intentional fallacy. And affective fallacy refers to the supposed error of judging or evaluating a text on the basis of emotional effects on a reader. So, these are the important points that you have to learn about new criticism. Thank you for watching.